Thank you so much for joining us. Our Majestaris right away viewers an emotional moment at the Limbe Centenary Stadium today as the remains or skeletons of the murdered delegates of the Indian Division were handed over to their families. The sad event was presided over by Conscience Ebune. It was attended by families and other top officials of the Southwest region, including the governor of the Southwest region, Bernard Okela-Bilai, and they exhumed the skeletons of the civil servants were exhumed. That was last weekend. Today's ceremony was boycotted by some family members who still maintain they can't be certain the skeletons given to them are those of their relations or not. And also in this newscast, we will be taking you out of the country to tell you that President Faustin Archange Touadéra has won the referendum in the Central African Republic. Viewers, those are our major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. We thank you so much for being with us. On this edition of the news, we take you right away to Limbe, where the skeletons of 5 of the 6 delegates who were murdered in the Indian Division and were exhumed recently at the Makobe village have been handed over to their families. We now go over to Limbe, where our reporter, Smart Dikan Gabriel, is on standby. Smart tells us that the governor of the Southwest region told the people of the region to join forces so as to stop the reckless killings in the region. Bernard Okela-Bilai made a call as the state handed over the bones of 5 delegates killed in Ekundo Titi.
The Centenary Stadium in Limbe was the venue where the state of Cameroon paid tribute to their fallen citizens who were victims of the Anglophone crisis. The sad event began with the procession of the caskets containing just the bones of the 5 delegates into the Centenary Stadium. It was later followed by an ecumenical service that was headed by clergymen who prayed that God should welcome the souls of the 5 delegates while hoping that the affected families will have the courage to continue their lives. In his address, Southwest Governor Bernard Okela-Bilai told the people of the Southwest region to stand up against all activities aimed at destroying the region and challenge traditional rulers to join in the battle to ask for their ancestors to help in the ongoing problem. Before the handing over of the casket to the different families, they all received a last homage from the authorities present.
Some last verifications may be carried out. People were murdered in the way you know. They will carry the remains when they are ready to perform their traditions. This was the funeral of the state. The state has to carry it to demonstrate that those collaborators, those compatriots have been effectively killed and buried the way you know, and thank to our determination in the investigations, we have succeeded to discover the remains. There is no polemic because the state continues to accompany the families.
The traditional rulers of the Southwest region were also present during the state funeral that took place at the Centenary Stadium.
When you give birth to a child, there are certain traditional rites that you do. You accept the family accepts the child. There are traditional blessings that are bestowed upon this child. And so when that person grows up and departs from this world, definitely there are also traditional rites that are performed on that corpse to make sure, just as the Christians will do commendation and all that, traditional rites are also there to make sure that the person who departs exits in peace.
All 5 bodies have been handed to the families for onward burial, while the skulls of these 5 delegates have been withheld by government for further tests. Balungeli Ebune Confiance represented the Prime Minister during the event that was under a tight security at the Centenary Stadium.
We told you also in the headlines that some families are not okay with the fact that the skeletons are given to them without a DNA. One of the affected families of the Kondotite incident says they had no choice but to take the part given to them by the government. Magdalene Akasin, who is mother of late Elat Emmanuel Akasin, confirmed that the skull of his son has not been given to the family yet. Smart Njikan Gabriel spoke with some family members. He now tells us more in the report which comes up next.
During the state funeral to the fallen citizens as a result of the Anglophone crisis in Kondotite, at least 3 families of the victims were present at the Centenary Stadium in Limbe. Among the families was that of Elat Emmanuel Akasin, Divisional Delegate of Water and Energy Resources. The mother of the late delegate says she is still in pains till date after spending millions for his son to be released.
I feel very sad. After 2 years of expecting that my son is somewhere and one day he will knock at the door, only for me, so after those years to hear that he is no more. The pain and the stress and the money that they took, only for them to go and kill. So we feel very sad. It's a very sad event.
According to the mother of Elat Emmanuel Akasin, the government had already identified their son before handing over the bones.
As the government is telling us, they identified him. He had his ID card on him and his dresses. So through those things, they identified him, especially the skull. Yeah, so I've identified mine. I'm going home with mine.
So you're going home with the complete body?
No, I'm going home with part of the body, not complete, yes. Because part of the remains were mixed, the bones were mixed up, yes.
Unfortunately, the skulls are still lacking. It was after the declaration of repentant separatist fighter Clinton that the military was able to discover the place they buried the 5 delegates at Makobe village. While some families have decided to take the bones to bury, others say they will wait on the government until they finish with their investigations. For the government, they have already identified 3 out of the 5 bodies. Many are asking, what system did they use is questionable.
A very emotional ceremony here in Limbe. May all your souls rest in peace, and we will be coming to that again. That would be in the second part of the news. Now let's talk about this road accident which happened earlier today. At least 10 people, including 5 children, have died, with 31 others severely injured in a fatal road accident that occurred earlier today at a place called La Falaise in Bay. It involved a 70-seater bus of Touristic Voyage Interurban Transport Agency. Let's now have more about this other unfortunate incident with Immaculate Fogui.
The journey of 56 passengers on board a 7-seater bus belonging to Touristic Express ends abruptly at the Mbai Valley, about 40 kilometers from Gaundari in the Damawa region. 10 persons died on the spot. According to eyewitness account, the said vehicle is reported to have experienced a brake failure, coupled with the fact that the driver was on top speed.
We have to deplore the high speed on this bad road. You know that Gaundari is a very bad section, and we do hope that once we apply this road, the driver should be very conscious, very responsible in order to avoid this kind of disaster.
Among the dead victims are 5 children and 5 adults. 31 persons got severely injured. The injured victims are at the Gaundari Regional Hospital receiving treatment.
The prognosis is well. We are taking third patient in charge and 4 in bad situation. But the prognosis is very well.
The 7-seater bus left Gaundari on Wednesday morning and was heading to Gara in the North region. a journey of no return, which leaves family members of deceased persons in pain and shock.
And now over to the bad state of roads in the economic capital, Douala. Constructed barely 5 years ago, the Pombona-Basen-Pombanya stretch of road in the Douala 5 area is said to be fast degrading, and the road users there say because of the state of the road, accidents are being recorded there almost on a weekly basis. Innocent Aze was there. He now tells us more.
This Pombona-Basen-Pombanya stretch of roads in the Douala 5 subdivision is just about 5 years old since its realization by the military engineering unit. It has degraded over time alongside other road networks in the city of Douala.
Ça fait environ 6 à 7 mois.
It has been like this for about 6 or 7 months, causing a lot of traffic jam and accidents.
On se renverse. Toutes les fois, on laisse que les trous grands.
These are neglected tiny holes which have transformed to deep craters.
10 mètres après, on constate des nouveaux trous qui naissent.
What shocks denizens is the fact that maintenance works on these broken roads do not last long.
Comment arranger une route et 2 semaines après, on trouve de nouveaux trous, donc c'est très compliqué vraiment.
Franchement, on ne comprend pas ce qui se passe avec cette route.
Today, repair works are done. After 2 weeks, the roads get bad again, even more than before.
Pire encore qu'avant.
We don't understand whether it is due to the rainfall or poor job done.
C'est le mauvais matériel, on ne comprend vraiment pas.
Loud noise produced by mostly trucks which gets into the deep craters causes people to tremble or panic, like this roadside vendor. Expectations of these road users are many.
Que le super maire de la ville fasse vraiment quelque chose parce que nos véhicules en souffrent énormément même, ça il faut le dire.
Quand il y a l'eau, tu ne vois pas.
You drive into the potholes without even knowing because they are filled with water.
C'est vraiment quelque chose à remédier rapidement.
According to them, it is not just about rehabilitating the roads, but for the Douala City Mayor and his staff to ensure that good quality work is done and infringement made it where poor work has been done.
And now, urban disorder is said to be the order of the day in the economic capital, Douala. Our reporter, Manjikan Gabriel, made a stopover at the Douche neighborhood in Douala. He now tells us that pavements have been transformed into marketplaces. Let's now have his report.
The stretch of road from the Dalip roundabout leading to President Ahmadou Ahidjo Boulevard has become very tough for road users as circulation is timid due to traffic congestion. Circulation along this path is very saturated because of traders who sell along the road. It's very difficult to circulate here because apart from the traffic, we have also thieves who benefit from it. On the tarmac, traders have installed their goods haphazardly, making it difficult even for pedestrians to move freely. The situation is not strange to a taxi driver who uses the road on a daily basis. We are already used to this situation, but it's holidays. The kids fill the whole road, so almost a greater part of the road is occupied. We spend about 30 to 45 minutes when passing here. The same position where these traders are doing business today. Some months back, the city mayor of Douala, Roger Mbassa Dine, warned that it shouldn't be used. Attempts by council officials to stop the traders from using the space has proven futile. It's very difficult out here, particularly with the new school year at hand. We are trying our best to control circulation along the road as we push away the traders who are by the roadside.
Les commerçants et les commerçantes qui sont dans la chaussée, vraiment c'est tellement impraticable. Non.
Here we don't negotiate with any traders. Reasons why we work with the public security officers.
Et la police municipale vraiment pour l'intervention pour qu'on puisse repousser vraiment ces gens.
Road users are now begging on the local authorities and traders to have an understanding so there will be a space for free circulation.
And now over to education, we talk several schools this year were sanctioned as a result of malpractices during the 2022-2023 GCE examinations. Among these schools is Collège La Fierté in Yaoundé in the Central Region, where about 34 students were sanctioned for having the same answers during the just ended examinations. Parents who have their children in these institutions say the situation is really disturbing. Lucy Liengu is here, tells us more.
He is among the 34 parents whose children, students of La Fierté College in Yaoundé, were sanctioned by the GC board for exam malpractices. Like him, most parents have expressed dissatisfaction on the decision taken. Since the 25th of July that results were published, we were told our children have been sanctioned because they detected similarities in their response during mathematics. My son is even unable to sleep. Teachers are equally surprised and worried seeing their students being sanctioned. I registered 109 students and 68 succeeded in the advanced level examinations. When we have about 33 students sanctioned, it is more than a funeral for me. According to some parents, these sanctions, which to date haven't been justified, are against law number 98/004 of 14th of April 1998 on right to education in Cameroon. They are aged between 15 and 17, most of them very small and fragile. We went to the GC board, but we were not received. Some staffs who saw us said we should wait for 2025 or go to Nigeria. A disturbing situation for many who keep asking how possible it is for students to be punished as a result of fraud when their examinations were hitch-free. A total of about 1,891 candidates were sanctioned by GC board this year. Efforts made to get to the local examination center in Yaoundé was in vain, but rather we were sent to the GC board head office in Boya.
And that report brings us to the end of the first part of the news. Viewers, let's move over to Talking Points. Welcome back. Our guest tonight is Dr. Mambe Thompson. He is a family head of one of the delegates who were killed and their remains recently exhumed in a Kondo Titi in the southwest region. His brother was Elvis Ebaku Mambe. He was the divisional delegate for state property and land tenure. Doctor, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest on Talking Points. You're getting to us from Canada and you're the family head of the Mambe family. You actually expressed some worries about not receiving the skeletons which were handed over today in Limbe to the bereaved families. Can you tell us what are the preoccupations of the Mambe family after the skeletons were exhumed from the Makobe village?
After the bodies were exhumed, I made attempts again to the authorities that the bodies should not be taken to Limbe because we don't have the know-how to do a thorough forensic examination for us to be able to identify the bones. And I would say with some confidence that people in Cameroon or my brother might not have dental records that they could use to compare with what they will find on a head skeleton to ascertain that is said. All of this was like pouring water on the back of a duck because the SDO did not want to take responsibility. The regional delegate for lands and surveys did not want to take their responsibility. In fact, if they were in my place and they had a brother who had died in this kind of circumstances, won't they ask for what I was asking for?
And now, Dr. Thompson, you also told, while speaking with you off air, you told us that you tried getting to the authorities to ensure that other negotiations could be made and the skeletons of your brother should not be given hurriedly. Can you explain us what filtered from your trial of getting to the FACO administration or the administration of the Southwest region?
If the government does give him a burial or give them a burial, if all of the bones were together in one location, then I will know my brother has been given a burial. Now, some of his remains might be in another package that goes to another family for burial. There is no way for me to know that. And that is why I am adamant that I'm not going to receive the package from the administration. They can keep it. I have waited for 2 years since this incident, and we had no letter from administration explaining to us what they are doing. That is not fair.
But now your family was present. We got information in Limbe. What is going to be the next step of the Mambe family with relation to the funeral procedure or program of their brother who died or was killed in Ikondo Titi?
I would recommend for civil society to hold their administrators accountable, especially today when we are claiming to have special status and decentralization. The SDO cannot take the cover of waiting for hierarchy for something that happened in his division. In fact, the DO of Ikondo Titi, where this mass grave was found, only knew about it on Saturday when they were exhuming it. What kind of secrecy? What is this about hierarchy, that people are not accountable to the population that they are supposed to be serving? Or is it just leadership? And I would say the best leadership would be that where you serve your people.
Dr. Mambe Thompson, we send out our sincere condolences to your family and all the other bereaved families, those whose skeletons were handed over, that was at the Limbe Centenary Stadium, by the administration of the FACO division. Thank you, viewers, for always being there. That does it for this edition of the news. Don't go away, our programs continue. The news in the French language is at 8 p.m. and Equinoxe is at 7 p.m. Stay with us on Equinoxe Television.